probably in the future, since our board meeting ended at 7 today, and we lingered here until 8, probably in the future, since the only requirement for this informal meeting is that it be recorded, because there are a lot of requirements by the state as it relates to us. Anyway, we'll try to maybe in the future have these meetings a week before the board meeting, because the agenda is available to all of you about 2 weeks before. And so maybe have it in a different location, so that that's a little bit more comfortable in this. All right? Although this is not bad, but it's a little cold in here. So I'd like to open it up. This is for you to ask us things, and we'll pass the mic around, which is this one.
Unfortunately, because of the open meetings law, this has to be recorded, and in order to record on the equipment that we have, it goes through the microphone. So we have to ask each of you to use the mic when you ask a question. Next time we'll try to get much of it, just press, and hopefully we'll just record without it. So, open mic night. Who wants to be first? Of course.
Good evening.
Please state your name.
My name's Don Cimento. I live in River Cross. And I was just thinking today about a while ago, Mr. Kramer had said that some of the stores would be coming in springtime, and now we're running into summer, and we haven't seen the store open yet. And I got the feeling, suppose the fellow like Kramer can't come up with the goods, meaning that he doesn't get enough clientele to open stores. What do we do? What do we do in the future? Is there a plan in place?
Chair of our real estate committee over there.
Thank you.
I'm planning on convening a real estate advisory, real estate development advisory committee meeting probably second week in June to talk about retail development, and we'll invite Mr. Kramer there and anyone on the staff, just so that the public can once again be advised where he stands and he can understand the public's interest. Thank you.
Just add, I happened to be talking today to the guy at Winnick, a guy named Shapiro, who's been trying to get stores to come onto the island. And he said one of the problems he's having is that nobody seems to want to be first. They look at the street and they say, well, when it gets all fixed up, then it will be fine, or then we'll be happy to come over, so call us back then. So he's got a couple of people willing to take a shot, but he's absolutely convinced that once they all start, once they get the streetscape itself looking good, which I think you've seen, they've started to do a sample one, he thinks that people will be beating down the doors to get here. So he's right.
On the same subject, what I would like to...
Your name, please.
Vicki Feinmel. What I would like to know, in regard to the whole agreement of the master lease, what is your influence, or what are you able to say if, if there's something that you want, if there's something that you don't want? Is there any influence that the board has with the situation with Hudson? Because I think that there are certain things that have sort of slipped through, what things, after the agreement was made, certain situations that possibly were not considered, or maybe was, but there were specific reasons. Like there seems to be a lot more sympathy for the thrift store, but not the gallery, and in terms of what was part of the master lease and what was not part of the master lease. And I would like just, more information about it so that I understand it better.
As far as I know, the thrift store and gallery remain place in operation. So they haven't been taken in hand, nor has any of the other retail on the island been subject to unusual influence at this point. Now, it is time for us to get a better handle on where it's going, and it's also time for the community to make representations to Hudson-related for faster action. I don't believe we have specific veto in the master lease, except for some very broad exceptions, which would be objectionable to the community. The thought was, when we were entering into the master lease, that we had experienced a failed control process through the corporation, and that we were giving the usual capitalist model, for lack of a better term, an opportunity to succeed here on the island. You know, all of us wish that we had fast action, but we understand that merchants might be reticent to be first, and we understand that merchants maybe feel daunted by the prospect of renovating where adjacent spaces are not yet to that standard. Again, I intend to have a meeting in about 2-3 weeks to address these issues in more detail.
Notice that we on the board are not identifying ourselves.
Oh, sorry.
Howard Colley just spoke, Marty Smith has spoken. My name is David Bell. At the time that John Calvin first started pushing for this master lease process, I remember we were living one of these meetings, Margie, Jonathan, and we're walking down the street, and I said,
Can't hear you.
"Oh, is this for?" I'll just talk louder. I can do that. Sorry. It's kind of a crapshoot we're doing. It's an experiment, but RIOC had been so unsuccessful in renting spaces on one basis or another for so many years, and now, of course, we were hampered by the public authorities accountability law. We just couldn't be in a business that we were no good at being in anyway. And we had known for some years that the best way to go was some kind of master lease that developers could bid on, and then once they had bid us the largest possible amount, then they could take over the responsibility. And we didn't know if it would work, frankly. I'll just tell you right now, we did not know if it would work, and we still don't. It's an experiment. It's gotten off the ground slowly by our standards. You know what our needs are, and they're not being met. But it's what we have going now, and I voted for it. I told John and Margie that give it a chance to go or give it a chance to fail, but do it. So I understand the patience and the patient myself. We have no idea how badly I'd like to have a really good bar on this island, especially for those of you who know where I keep my office hours.
We know.
Yeah, I'm there every day, which means that I don't really know. It's personal. But in fact, I'm there every day. And anybody who wants to speak to me can, and so can you. And you have. So that's why I'm there.
She will again.
And I will again.
Okay.
But that's one thing I like, and I haven't seen any improvement in that. And we all have things that we would like to have or like to see there. It may turn out bad. It may turn out bad. Every possible complaint that you've already offered may turn out to be a failure. And in which case we'll try something else. But in the meantime, it's proceeding slowly. Let us proceed. And I'm interested in seeing where it's going to go.
But you have an agreement for like 30 years. I mean, it's not like, well, then all right, 30 years, we'll try something. I mean, if it fails and we have to wait 30 years for something else to happen, I mean, is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay, so what are you saying?
I think you have to realize that he's a developer, he wants to earn money also. He is definitely not into this to lose money.
Oh,
So if it's not working, I'm sure he's going to come up with some other idea. But you have to realize that how long has been here and you haven't had any stores.
I mean, if I can follow up, unless you want to go to other people, because I don't feel that my question was answered. I understand what all of you are saying. Some people are concerned that stores are could not, will not be rented or not rented. That wasn't my question. And I also know why we went into this agreement, because it was a failure before. What my questions are is, how much input do you guys have if they do something that you don't think is good for the island? If, now the situation with the gallery that they're asking, and I want to, it's just the thing that I know about the most right now is that I know that they've been asked for, for high amounts of rent, which they may not be able to do. And what is your input into something like that? Is that acceptable to you? Is it not? If it's not acceptable, is there anything that you can do? And again, why that and not the thrift shop? Which is a terrible eyesore too. I know the need for it, but it's an eyesore.
Well, opinionating aside, I believe the question you asked was, what can we do if it turns out not to be going the way we'd all like to? My answer is, I don't know.
David, you have to speak into the mic.
What?
You have to speak into the mic.
Gotcha.
I'm sorry.
Can I just add something? It's not quite that bad. What we didn't want to do was say we're going to hire the experts and then tell them what stores are going to go here and what we're going to let them do and not do. So we gave parameters like you would do kind of in any neighborhood to say you can't put this kind of establishment or that kind of establishment. Keep in mind, they have to keep paying us whether those stores are rented or not. So they are trying to rent those stores, and I do believe they know what they're doing. What Shapiro said today is that they're trying to work with the people who are there now and give them the first opportunity, like a right of first refusal, if they're willing to meet their standards. And I specifically asked about the thrift shop, and he said that they're trying to work with them to see if they can get it up to standard. He doesn't know if they will or not, but they felt that it was only fair to tell everybody that. Gallery, I don't know what to say about the gallery.
Yeah, you should have hit.
My name is Amy Watson. I have two questions. My first question is regarding, I read in the wire that they were approved for the building 7 down in Southtown, and I was wondering what the intended use of the building was going to be, if it was going to go for housing for the Cornell people, like the way the other buildings mostly went for housing for the hospitals, or if it was going to actually be an opportunity for those of us who don't live in Westview or Island House to ever buy an apartment.
Hudson Related has the right to exercise options for buildings 7, 8, and 9. There is discussion now that they would exercise for building 7 first and then 8 and 9. These discussions are not fully concluded, meaning they're interested in doing something. They're interested in beginning something this year. The reason why this year is that their options expire at the end of 2012. And then there will be a further negotiation if they want to preserve those rights without actually beginning something. And the housing is most likely going to be condos, and the building will most likely be 21 stories. I'm saying most likely because these are not firm conclusions. They are not, to my knowledge, to be dedicated from Cornell, although I imagine Cornell might possibly choose to buy blocks of apartments here. And again, this is all very tentative, and once they make an agreement with us, they are free, within the terms of that agreement, to work out any sub-deals, if you will, regarding sections of the building with dedicated housing.
Here's a quick question.
sorry that I have to
It's
ask you
okay.
to use the mic.
Hi, my name's Leah Feliciano, and my concern really is the seniors. There's a dwindling senior population here, and there's a perfectly good senior center. If any of you would attend when they have 4th of July parties, you'll see it used to be, I wanted to go, and I'm not even close to being a senior. It's sad because this island is equipped for seniors and handicapped people, and they're just melting away. And I know that the deal was already made as far as Roosevelt Island, but we could always renegotiate and do something about it, I hope. That's it.
Well, I live in Roosevelt Island so long that I still call it Eastwood.
Eastwood, yeah.
And you're right. I think the time has come for people in Eastwood, to consider renegotiation. And that means we have to be a movement. We have to scare them, because the only thing they listen to, I have been in rent strikes for 33 years in Eastwood, and negotiations with management for 33 years in Eastwood. Not so much recently, because I spent most of my time, my public time, on this board. But we can do anything we want to, if we want to, but it won't be automatic, and it won't be easy, and we'll spend as much time forcing them to the table as we will at the table. But anything is renegotiable, especially with Eastwood's long-time reputation for activism. I've always considered Eastwood to be the heart of the island, the real center of the island. I'm very pleased and proud to live there, raise my children there. And if we want to, we can bring them back to the table. But that calls for leadership on our part and activism on our part. I'm speaking now as an Eastwood resident, not as a board member. But what you say is true.
Hi, Linda Heimer. Getting back to the stores for a minute, I'm on that committee, on the Main Street Stores Committee, and we heard through the committee that David Kramer wants tenants that have a proven track record. He said a lot of people would approach them saying, I'm a mom and pop store, I want to try it on what's done, but they don't want that. So, if any of you know of a chain of restaurants or flower shop or whatever it is you want that you think would be interested in coming here, let David Kramer know. I mean, they've actually said that, let us know, because that's the kind of people they're looking for, people with a proven track record. As a matter of fact, one of the leases they do have signed now is someone who sets it up and then sells it to somebody else. Someone who's done this many, many times. So that's just that. As far as my question goes, I thank you all for your time and effort that you put on this board and your dedication, commitment. You hear the butt coming. Because, most people are not willing to do what you do. It takes a lot. And but I would like to see you take stronger stands on some things. I have seen this board argue against or for something, and then change your mind and vote the opposite way at the end. Now, I would respect that, of course, because you heard someone's arguments, you were convinced that you change your mind. But I'll give you an example. When the intern situation came before the board, Mr. Fernando proposed this, and several of you were against it or had strong questions about it. Finally, it went back and forth for quite a while. Finally, when obviously the commission was for it, and Fernando kept pushing for it, he capitulated and he said, okay. And it cost $65,000 out of our grant to pay for this intern. Now, it's my understanding that most internship programs are not paid. I'm sure there are some that are, but most are not, because they're getting experience. I don't know why we had to pay someone $65,000 to give her experience. I don't know what we got for that money, and I would hope that if you consider doing this program again, it would be for the experience the person would get, not that they also get $65,000 from a grant. Please explain that. Oh, yeah, about a year ago, yes. office and learn different jobs, and he was also paid $65,000. And that money comes from our grant.
And what level of qualifications do they have? I hope they had at least a
I have
graduate
no
degree.
idea. I have no idea, but several people on this board
I
voted.
voted against it.
Yes, either voted against it or spoke against it. And what concerned me is that they, I'm telling you, we're now in the pushing board, I see the Little League in it, Paul, we kept pushing it, the commissioner kept pushing for it, and it went on for a long time, and they finally said, okay, we'll go for it. And I just wish you'd be stronger sometimes when you really feel it's not in the interest of the residents. I mean, you voted for you to, you know, have our residents before you. That was for 1 year, and they're probably going to consider doing it again. I don't know. $9 months. For 9 months.
Yes, it was 65. 65, but I think I saw in the budget actual.
For 9 months.
Well, I was at the meeting where they said 65, so it may change. But at any rate,
I'm
most
just
of
in the
the
actual
programs, you know, they get the experience, they don't get paid for it. So bottom line, I appreciate your efforts, I really do. I know there's always a but. But please be stronger. I mean, we voted for you to represent our interests, not the commissioners and not the RIOC staff. You're their boss, you know. So that's what I'm asking for. I guess my question is are you going to consider this program again? And if you do, I hope you won't pay the intern. I hope you'll do it, you know, because they have the experience. Does anyone want to answer that?
I voted against it the first time around because I think there are paid intern programs and there are non-paid intern programs. Fellowship, it's fellowship, that's right. It's a part of a whole overall program to get into graduate school, prepare for government, and in fact, they do contribute something. We're supposed to have a description, I guess, next week or the week after, kind of an exit interview saying, basically, bottom line is what you got for your money. At this point, I can't say that I would vote for it this year if I feel the same as I did. If I don't feel that we got $65,000 or $55,000 worth of benefit out of it, then no, I'm not going to vote for it this time either.
The program was the National Urban Fellows, the codes, an attorney, and I think another graduate degree before entering this program. And we're going to do an analysis to see if we got value in having her on staff. And part of the value that we thought we would get is that we would have her work with her mentors over at Hunter in order to assist us in some of the areas that she was born in, which is structure and function.
We can't hear. Please speak up.
Okay, sorry about that. So we're going to do an analysis to see if we got value. It was the National Urban Fellows, a program which brings qualified minority graduates into a path that will lead to further government work. And the applicant is an attorney, qualified attorney working.
I'm Janet Clark. I've been for 25. I've been living here for 4.5 years.
Put it closer to your mouth.
I've been here for 4.5 years. I recently applied to an RFP that was issued by RIOC for marketing and communication services. And there were probably 10 applicants who submitted to the RFP process. And there was one other person besides myself who is an island resident. And neither of us were selected. There is an opportunity for points to be approved for being a minority-owned business or for being a women-owned business, MBD, WBD, but there is nothing that says that you can get points for being a Roosevelt Island resident when you apply to a RIOC RFP. In this particular circumstance of marketing and communication services, many residents, like myself, thought that it would be most beneficial to have an island resident compete and serve in that capacity. So I want to know if in the future
First, I agree that would be nice if we could do it. I don't know that we can because we're a state agency, and I think there are laws that say this is what you have to do for RFPs. I don't think we can give points to that. The state directs us what you're able to get points for. If I'm wrong, I mean, we'll check it out, but I don't think we can.
I just have a further kind of an addition to that question.
State who you are.
Sherry Holstein, Residents Association. In addition to what Janet's asking, I'm just wondering if it may be necessary for, I hate to do this, to say to whoever would be responsible in whatever committee or whatever on the RIOC board, that maybe you have some oversight as to what the staff is looking at when they look at the RFPs and make their decisions, maybe especially if there are residents who are applying for any of the openings.
Okay. Bear in mind that a lot of things never make it to the board or review at all. If it's below $50,000, the corporation enacts on it, and we never hear about it, ever, until the budget shows up. So, you know, if we want to start scrutinizing all the contracts and they're below the threshold, then, you know, we look into that, but that's below our legal obligation to review all these contracts. We could maybe provide some more guidelines, but again, we check with the general counsel and see whether or not we can even give preference to local businesses. We don't know. Find out.
A microphone wire will be.
Thanks. I'm April Ward. I live at Youngstown, and I've been here for 4 years. And I think that something slipped through the cracks a little bit with all of the talk about the space rental and instead of South Point Park. Can you not hear me? Yeah, just close to my mouth. Sorry. I usually talk too loud, so. South Point Park, I volunteered to start a group there to work with the Parks and Recreation because the center there is in very poor condition. When I started, they needed to have weeds pulled. It needs a lot more than that. The trees that were supplied in the contract were supposed to be of a certain quality. I have a list, I did a tree inventory. There's 136 trees down there with issues. 46 of them need to be replaced. The trees were not planted properly to begin with. There are trees that are swaying in the wind. They are going to come down. The roots are literally, some of them in the air. The I have been in contact with Steve Sharonis and Mike, and Mike, who's the Park and Recreation. Mike's very concerned. I wrote a 4-page letter to him. I sent inventory. It's really not going anywhere. Steve Sharonis claims that all of the trees were approved. They were not. They absolutely were not. And I have that from the people he claims approved that. And all those approvals would be in writing. And if they were approved, they should be able to produce those approvals pretty easily. I would really press them to find those approvals because they don't exist.
What did Mike say?
Mike is very concerned because he doesn't want to take care of his lawn because he sees what shape it's in. He does not have, his people are porters. They're learning how to take care of landscaping. I'm taking the classes with them. So Mike's trying to get his guys up to speed, but they are not capable of replacing that lawn. I mean, it's going to require, trucks and trucks of new soil. They're going to have to scrape off the old soil with the weeds. They're going to have to put new soil on and then reseed the whole lawn. They're not contractors who put in lawns, and that's what needs to be done. So anyway, I would provide all of this to you. I would really love some assistance here because it's like I said, voluntary crafts, and I've become a tree hugger in the last month. Needs some help.
That's unbelievable. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
By the way, I just wanted to mention, I'm doing this as a volunteer, and I've spent over 50 hours at this point doing this. So there's some, and I'm not a paid intern, and I brought a lot of professional people to Roosevelt Island to look at this situation. People from Cornell who are experts, because I'm not. So I'm depending on experts to come in. So I'm bringing a lot of expertise to the situation, and I really would love to have some support.
Is that Prince's side?
Yes.
And we hear you, and I was not biased, so we'll make that an agenda on the operation committee. We'll have, make sure we send them notes, they prepare their materials, and they have to make sure they account for who accepted the trees and the contribution and review all that as an agenda item.
Just a quick question. It says Parks and Recreation.
Maybe
Is that
you
the
might-
city of New York? Is that RIOC? I don't understand.
For South Point Park, Korea.
So Parks and Recreation is RIOC?
We have our own park recreation. That management orders that have all the grounds for the islands and ones that are part of RIOC and not the hospital.
I see. Thank you.
My name is Mary Ann Russell. I wanted to thank you again for bringing that to our attention. As a 30-year resident, my mind is blown. I mean, it's another one of those, why doesn't anything ever work? What frustrates me the most about that story is that there's a lot of missing people here tonight. I don't know how this meeting tonight came to be, but apparently some residents pushed for it. So my question is, why aren't the rest of the people here? Why is it so hard to get anything done? Why do the board members not know about this? It's mind-blowing. What did that cost? Who did they hire? This is the same thing as the street, we've given Main Street to Hudson Related. I'm happy about that. Nothing had worked prior to this time. But again, it seems like it's not working, and everybody seems to be saying, who knows what's going to happen with who, when is it going to happen? Nobody seems to really have the big picture. I'm frustrated that some of the people that are responsible for having the big picture are not here tonight. What's the reason? Did they give any of the reasons why they're not here tonight?
Who are you talking about?
Leslie.
Oh, they weren't invited.
They weren't invited.
This was strictly in terms of.
It was just to the board?
That's not what this meeting was for.
I mean, that was at 5:30 was the regular
No,
RIOC,
but that-
but we've been trying for our board members and residents to get together just to have casual discussions about what
But this
we're
is also-
concerned
I
about
agree with
to
that.
our
That's fine,
representatives.
I wasn't aware of that.
That-
I
that-
still
that
am
was the
frustrated
purpose.
that we never seem to make the link between RIOC, citizens of the island that aren't involved in RIOC, the RIOC board now with resident members, and RIOC RIOC itself. It just seems like and now we have Cornell and we have Hudson Related, and I'm just frustrated beyond belief. And the question I was going to ask before that came up is, I'm concerned about things like the seawall and long-term, huge contracts that, things that we're going to need, capital improvements to this island. Do you have an idea, if somehow we were just dropped a boatload of money tomorrow, what would it cost to completely redo the seawall? What is it?
Yeah, seawall's been an issue of mine for about 30 years. Since I was, I don't know why it's not picking up my voice. Is it on?
Talk a little louder.
Maybe someone turned it off before they meant it.
You need to have it right on that.
Can you hear now? Is that what he's saying?
You have to hold it down. Hold it down.
It has to be
Oh, I see.
There you go.
No, they cannot be turned around. Because that's when you get feedback into the microphone. The question was seawall.
Question was how much would it total cost?
I'm sorry, what?
She had a very specific question. She wanted to know how much it would cost, right? Was that your question?
My response would be,
Very
why?
specific question. We wanted specific.
Why do the whole seawall? Much of the seawall is less than 20 years old or 25 years old and perfectly sound. We have a Corps of Engineers report, which goes back some way. There are other areas which are desperately unique.
That's what I'm asking.
That's
What is the total cost of what we need to bring up to par?
I don't know, but the budget for seawall repair is $1 million a year for the next 6 years. It's not like a corporation is ignoring the whole thing. It's right in the budget, the published budget, which is on the website. Seawall repair is $1 million capital a year for the next 6 years. I wish they started. I have no idea why, particularly down adjacent to the park, South Point Park on the southeast side, east side of the state. I don't know what's holding them back.
Can't you direct them to? Isn't that your job, to direct them to do something like that?
Yeah, it probably is. We probably should.
$1 million a year for 6 years sounds like a lot of money, but I'm still trying, that's what I'm saying. What I'm trying to get is what's the
And
ratio?
also, Carol Maloney's been trying to get us.
I know that.
Yeah, for the folks who attended the last operations committee meeting,
He doesn't hold the mic like I
we did have a substantial discussion on the seawall, particularly in the areas down in the park where the seawall has failed. We had some engineering reports. We had about an hour more of discussion about the mechanics of the problems and the budget, and they had people draw the drawings of what we need to do along the wall in terms of repairing the seawall there. There was changes to the riprap. We had some pictures, some estimates being done. They are looking at that area. We have had to do repairs when we had the barge hit the seawall north end. That part. We had discussions about, you know, you're going to have to raise some areas of the seawall. At the earliest operation committee meeting just 2 nights ago. So we have been discussing it, trying to plan what we can do, both in terms of the seawall itself and the railing, replacing the railings around visible to everybody. So we need to work it out. There are a variety of agencies involved in that, some of which are federal, some of which are New York State, some of which are city. We're trying to get the engineering done until we actually get to the point where we're going to say, from this linear stretch to that linear stretch, we're going to replace it. Then it has to go to a contract, and then we know exactly what it's going to cost.
Do you ever collect any private money for things like this from Hudson Related, from Cornell, from private owners of Octagon, any place we can get private money where it's to their advantage to improve the island?
Indirectly through the ground rents they pay.
But other than through the ground rent?
People don't volunteer money.
Non-volunteer, you need to solicit and make a good case to get.
Well, we are, for example, for the areas of the seawall that are down, that were directly damaged as a result of the hurricane. The staff did a great job actually documenting the extent of the damage that was directly attributable on the east side of the island that we have documented was damaged by the hurricane and the washout area there. And they actually are getting FEMA money to partially pay for that repair. And they're they're rushing to get all that paperwork and environmental studies stuff done, construction estimates done, to get that into FEMA for federal grant money.
But we still have no idea what the total amount is to get it done. How off are we?
The problem with it is the engineering report, the Army Corps of Engineers did a report, a study on it. The problem is it's 10 years old now, so the number's no good anyway. My recollection is it was something like on the order of 12 million when it first came out, that they were talking about to repair.
I don't know.
It was something like that, but again, it's 10 years old, so what we've been doing is taking, we said take the worst areas, the ones that are the absolute worst, and like Michael said, the staff said one of the worst areas was the ones that we hit with the hurricane, so we're able to get some grants to get that going, and Maloney's trying to get us some money for some of the other things, but we've been doing it in sections because we don't, until we get an updated study from the Army Corps of Engineers, we don't know exactly what it is.
When would we get that?
Heaven knows when, I mean, we've asked. I don't know.
I don't want to sound like an argument with you, but that sounds like a cop-out to me. If we're waiting for the Army Corps of Engineers, we're not doing the job, it's our island.
No, but I didn't say we're waiting, I said we're doing it piecemeal until we get an updated report. Right now, we're looking at the areas that are most damaged to repair them.
Well, we discussed at
In
the
fact,
Monday meeting, if I speak up.
Well, just one last thing, when you talk about outside money, the people from Ferry are doing part of the area where we voted tonight to have them kind of do the entrance to the FDR Memorial Park, and part of that will take the seawall, Franklin Delano Roosevelt Institute. So they'll be fixing parts of that.
That's one of the reasons you really, if you go down to the new FDR Park and you look at the size of their riprap, the seawall, wow. Yeah. It goes from everything to nothing.
Yeah, well, they're extending that riprap farther up.
Right.
They're putting, granite headers on it to make it nicer. The area on the east side that was damaged, we were able to document that it was damaged by the hurricane, and so they're actually going to they're getting the money from FEMA to help repair that section. They're trying to work out money from the city, from the state, and from, because it's a federal navigable waterway, figure out what we can do about the rest of the seawall. And we discussed it for quite some time on Monday, and we're going to do a special session we're discussing about focusing just on the seawall issues and try to figure out, do we need to commission a survey, an engineering survey, saying what are the areas that are in the worst shape. Well, there's a couple questions that came up at the last meeting. I'm sorry I would have discussed it during the committee notes, but I didn't have them with me. One was, can we survey and find out what areas are in the worst shape as far as the engineering components of the seawall, not the aesthetics, because some things look bad with their engineering-wise, the seawall itself is sound. The other problem is, that Margie brought up, is can we do something about replacing all the railing, or most of the railing, on the island to make it look nicer, because some of the railing is just in horrible shape. What we were being told is that part of that challenge is that the railing is mounted down into the piping that supports the seawall. They can take a look at, can we do something else, with new railings, okay, that with the existing mounting, core it out, and put new mountings down. What impact that would have to the seawall structure itself, we don't know, but we have to have an engineering firm take a look at what's down there. So those are some things that we did discuss on Monday.
Can I just throw in meditation steps? What's the long-term plan there?
The meditation steps, as we discussed in the board meeting today, they actually approved that those steps are being replaced. The wood, we gave the corporation the order they had brought in. We had been discussing with them for almost 2 months now that it was a message to be replaced. So they went and they talked to the city about what they did when they reconstructed Coney Island, for the other places, what type of material we should use. They evaluated different materials, and they found the material that they like. Dave has a lot of construction carpentry expertise, and he said, yes, this wood is really easy to use.
Well, the problem is that the best woods for these purposes are tropical hardwoods. And to harvest tropical hardwoods, you have to cut down tropical forests. And nobody's very happy about that. There are laws to prevent the illegal importation of woods like this, and various agencies in place. And I did a little research, and we won't know, this board will not, and I think corporations, as a matter of policy, will not use any tropical hardwood or any material.
There has to be a
Which
solution.
is not certified by either the Fire
We had to find out
Council.
what we did.
And this,
Okay. It's the same material.
yeah, it's the same thing though.
It's especially farm-grown material. It's not.
Anyway, we did pass the RFP today, and that'll get started as soon as possible. There's going to be a delay, I should just tell you, because that wood has to be ordered, and that it can probably be assembled fairly quickly once the wood is on hand, but it takes a while for it to get here large enough.
I don't finish, so the other thing we had discussed, I'll be right with you, the other thing we discussed, along with meditation steps, was the walkway around that area, what do you call that? On the promenade, right across from the train station, where the pier. I just got off the plane, I'm tired. The pier, some of those boards are going as well. So we talked to Fernando, and they're going to talk to the contractors about can we put out another RFP to have them replace those boards